Nearly 2,000 years ago, along the sunny coast of southern Italy, a thriving Roman city stood beside the Bay of Naples. Its streets were filled with merchants, farmers, travelers, and families going about their daily lives. Above the city rose a quiet mountain called Mount Vesuvius. To the people of Pompeii, the mountain seemed harmless, vineyards covered its slopes, and the fertile volcanic soil made the land ideal for farming. No one living there imagined that this peaceful mountain would one day destroy their city and preserve their lives in a frozen moment of history. Pompeii's story began centuries before the Roman Empire reached its height. Archaeologists believe the settlement was first founded around the 7th century BC by the Oscans, an ancient Italic people who lived throughout southern Italy. The town grew near the mouth of the Sarno River, along an important trade route connecting inland farms with the sea. Because of this location, merchants and travelers regularly passed through the area. Over time, the town came under the influence of nearby Greek colonies and later the Etruscans. Each culture left its mark on Pompeii's architecture, religion, and language. Rome eventually expanded across Italy, and after the Social War in 89 BC, Pompeii became part of the Roman Republic. Roman veterans were settled there, and Latin became the dominant language. By the 1st century AD, Pompeii had grown into a lively city of perhaps 10,000 to 12,000 people. Stone streets, temples, markets, and theaters filled the town. Wealthy Romans built elegant homes decorated with colorful frescoes, while ordinary citizens lived in apartments above busy shops and workshops. The economy of Pompeii depended heavily on the fertile land surrounding Mount Vesuvius. Farmers produced grapes, olives, figs, and grains, and the region's wine became famous throughout the Roman world. Trade flowed constantly, where vendors sold pottery, cloth, jewelry, and food. The streets bustled with activity as carts rolled across the stone roads and merchants called out to customers. One fascinating part of daily life in Pompeii was its street food culture. The city contained nearly 100 thermopolia, small snack bars where people could buy hot, ready-to-eat meals. Large clay jars were built into stone counters and filled with foods such as duck, goat, fish, lentils, and stews. Many residents lived in apartments without kitchens, so eating at these street counters was common. In many ways, Pompeii had something similar to modern fast food. Roman cuisine also relied heavily on a condiment called garum. Garum was a fermented fish sauce made by layering fish, salt, and herbs and leaving the mixture to ferment in the sun. The liquid produced a strong, salty flavor used to season many Roman dishes. Factories near Pompeii produced garum in large quantities and exported it across the Mediterranean. Bread was another staple of daily life. Archaeologists have discovered 31 bakeries in Pompeii. Many used large stone mills powered by donkeys that walked in circles, grinding grain into flour. Bakers shaped dough into round loaves and baked them in large ovens. When the eruption buried the city, some loaves were carbonized but preserved. Nearly 2,000 years later, they were discovered still sitting in ovens, offering a remarkable glimpse into Pompeii's final day. Pompeii was also advanced in its infrastructure. Fresh water flowed into the city through the Serino Aqueduct, supplying fountains placed throughout the streets. Residents could collect water from these fountains whenever they needed it. The city also contained 3 major public bath complexes. Bathing was not only about hygiene for the Romans. The bathhouses were social centers where people relaxed, exercised, and discussed business or politics. Visitors moved through rooms of different temperatures, including cold pools, warm chambers, and hot steam baths heated from below by a Roman system called a hypocaust. Even the streets showed clever design. Raised stepping stones were placed across the roads so pedestrians could cross without stepping into water or waste that sometimes collected in the streets. The stones were spaced so carts could still pass between them. Walking through Pompeii today, these stones remain exactly where Roman citizens once stepped nearly 2,000 years ago. Yet looming above the city was Mount Vesuvius. For centuries, the volcano had remained quiet, and many residents did not realize it was a volcano at all. There were warning signs. In 62 AD, a powerful earthquake struck Pompeii, causing major damage. Buildings collapsed, and repairs continued for years. Smaller earthquakes continued afterward, but because earthquakes were common in the region, most people simply rebuilt and carried on with life. On the day of the eruption, Mount Vesuvius suddenly exploded. A towering column of ash and gas shot high into the sky, rising more than 20 miles into the atmosphere. Across the Bay of Naples, a Roman writer named Pliny the Younger watched the event unfold. He described the cloud as resembling a giant pine tree rising upward before spreading at the top. His letters describing the eruption were so detailed that scientists today call similar volcanic events Plinian eruptions. The first phase of the disaster brought a rain of pumice stones and ash falling onto Pompeii. For hours, debris piled onto rooftops and streets. Some residents fled while others sheltered indoors, hoping the storm would pass. But the eruption soon entered a far more deadly stage. Mount Vesuvius began producing pyroclastic flows, fast-moving clouds of superheated gas and ash racing down the volcano's slopes. Temperatures inside these clouds could reach around 250 degrees Celsius. When they reached Pompeii, they caused instant death for many who remained. The eruption lasted nearly 2 days before finally ending, leaving the city buried beneath meters of ash and volcanic debris. For centuries, Pompeii remained hidden. The buried city slowly faded from memory until the late 1500s, when workers digging a canal accidentally uncovered ancient walls beneath the soil. Later excavations revealed entire streets, homes, and temples preserved in remarkable detail. In 1863, archaeologist Giuseppe Fiorelli developed a technique that revealed the final moments of Pompeii's victims. As bodies decomposed within the hardened ash, they left hollow spaces behind. Fiorelli poured plaster into these cavities. When the plaster hardened and the ash was removed, the victims' shapes appeared exactly as they had died. Some figures show people shielding their faces, while others show families huddled together. Pompeii continues to reveal new discoveries. In 2021, archaeologists uncovered an ornate ceremonial chariot decorated with bronze and tin. In 2024, excavators discovered a shrine painted in a vivid shade of blue, offering new insight into Roman religious life. Pompeii remains one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. Visitors walk the same streets where Roman citizens once lived. They see bakeries, bathhouses, homes, and temples preserved in astonishing detail. Above the ruins still stands Mount Vesuvius, a reminder of the power of nature. Pompeii is more than a story of destruction. It is one of the clearest windows into everyday life in the ancient Roman world, allowing us to see how people lived nearly 2,000 years ago.